There are two ways to go fast around a racetrack. One uses brute force, screaming RPM, and a wide stance. The other uses complex packaging, narrow aerodynamics, and violent torque. For 40 years, the Inline-4 was the king of the superbikes. It was simple, it was cheap, and it was fast. But recently, something changed. Look at the starting grid of MotoGP. Look at the Ducati Panago. Look at the Aprilia RSV4. The world's fastest motorcycles are abandoning the Inline-4 and moving to the V4. Why? Is it just marketing? Or is there a law of physics that makes the Inline-4 obsolete? Today, we are looking at the math, the money, and the mechanics behind the biggest war in motorcycle history. This is the death of the Inline-4 and the rise of the V4. To understand this war, you have to look at the engines naked. The Inline-4 is exactly what it sounds like. 4 cylinders, lined up in a row, sitting across the frame. It is simple. It is balanced, but it has a fatal flaw. It is wide. Aerodynamics is the enemy of speed. Because the Inline-4 has 4 pistons side by side, the engine block is wide. This forces the frame to be wider. This forces the fairings to be wider. The V4, however, takes those 4 cylinders and splits them. 2 in front, 2 in back. The result? The engine is almost half as wide. The bike is narrower like a spear. At 180 miles per hour, the V4 cuts through the air with less resistance. In a straight line, the V4 has a natural aerodynamic advantage simply because of its shape. But racing isn't just about straight lines. It's about corners. And this is where the physics gets weird. Have you ever held a spinning bicycle wheel? When it spins fast, it becomes heavy. It resists you. It doesn't want to turn. This is the gyroscopic effect. And it is the Inline-4's worst nightmare. In an Inline-4 engine, you have a crankshaft that is long. It has to be long to fit 4 pistons in a row. When that long, heavy crankshaft spins at 14,000 RPM, it becomes a massive gyroscope. This spinning mass fights the rider. When you try to flick a GSXR or a CBR into a corner at high speed, you are physically wrestling against the inertia of that long crankshaft. It wants to stay upright. Now, look at the V4. Because the cylinders are staggered, the crankshaft is much shorter. Shorter means less gyroscopic stability. That sounds bad, but in racing, instability is good. It means the bike is flickable. A V4 drops into a corner instantly. It changes direction faster than an Inline-4 ever could. So, the V4 is narrower and it turns faster. So why did we ever build Inline-4 South in the first place? If the V4 is so perfect, why is the Honda CBR100RR still an Inline-4? Why is the BMW S100RR an Inline-4? 2 reasons: money and heat. A V4 is a packaging nightmare. You have an exhaust manifold coming out of the front, and another exhaust manifold coming out of the back, right under the rider's seat. V4 South run incredibly hot. The rear cylinders are trapped inside the frame with no airflow. To keep them cool requires complex plumbing and expensive radiators. Also, a V4 needs 2 cylinder heads, 2 sets of camshafts, 2 timing chains. It is twice as expensive to manufacture. The Inline-4 is cheap to build, easy to package, exhausts all out the front, and easy to cool. For a street bike that you ride to work, the Inline-4 is logically better. But we aren't talking about commuting. We're talking about winning. There is one final battleground, and it is the most important one: tire grip. This is where the concept of Big Bang versus Screamer comes in. A traditional Inline-4 is a screamer. It fires evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. The power delivery is constant. It sounds smooth, but on a racetrack, smooth is actually a problem. Because the power is constant, the rear tire never gets a break. It is under constant load. This causes the tire to spin and overheat. The V4 is different. Because of its layout, the firing order is uneven. It goes bang bang, pause, bang bang, pause. That tiny pause, milliseconds of silence, allows the rear tire to regain traction and hook up with the asphalt before the next explosion of power hits. This acts like ABS for acceleration. It digs into the ground. This is why V4 South dominate MotoGP. They can put the power down earlier in the corner without high-siding to the moon. Now, I know what the Yamaha fans are screaming in the comments right now. What about the R1? The Yamaha R1 is the traitor. It is an inline-4 that thinks it's a V4. In 2009, Yamaha realized the V4 physics were superior, but they didn't want to build a V4 engine. So, they changed the crankshaft inside their inline-4. They offset the crank pins to 90 degrees. This created the uneven firing order, the Big Bang, inside an inline-4 block. It sounds like a V4. It finds traction like a V4, but it still suffers from the wide packaging and long crankshaft of the inline-4. It was a brilliant compromise, but even Yamaha keeps falling behind Ducati on the straightaways. The war is already claiming casualties. The 600cc Supersport class was built entirely on the screaming inline-4, but today, that class is dying. Manufacturers are replacing them with twins. The Yamaha R7 is a twin. The Aprilia RS660 is a parallel twin. Why? Because for street riding, the torque of a twin, which mimics a V4, is simply more fun than the high-revving scream of an inline-4. The market has spoken. We want torque, not just horsepower. If you are a manufacturer trying to win a MotoGP title, the physics are clear. The V4 is the superior weapon. It is narrower, it turns faster, and it grips harder. But if you are a rider on the street, the inline-4 is still a masterpiece. It is smoother at low speeds, it doesn't roast your legs at stoplights, and it screams a symphony that a V4 just can't match. The inline-4 isn't dead yet, but it is definitely looking over its shoulder. Which side are you on? Do you prefer the screaming precision of the inline-4 or the violent torque of the V4? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to know about the time a manufacturer tried to build an engine that was neither of these things and failed miserably, click this video right here.